I've been saying this for years. You have one of the most distinctive voices in the country, man. Probably top five, in my opinion, for me personally.
Thanks. I
And it got me
appreciate it.
thinking, do you remember the very first person to say to you, like, hey, you're talented, man. I think you've got a shot here.
Um, Probably my mum. But I don't know, like industry wise, actually, yeah, it was funny that Mark Holden, who was an old judge on Australian Idol, before Australian Idol came out and became Australian Idol, he had heard a demo of mine somehow, and I met him down at this hotel on the Gold Coast, and he was like, "Oh, you've got a really interesting voice, and you should. There's going to be this show that comes out called Australian Idol. I'm going to be a judge on it. Or you should go on Neighbours." He's like, at the moment, it just seems like TV is the way that people are breaking, so you should do something like that. Anyway, he was so I guess industry wise, he was probably the first person to say anything about my voice.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, but no, I appreciate it, man.
I love that. I'm also loving your brand new track, man. Walk On. It's both a survival story and also a love letter to yourself. And I love the lyrics where you say, dreams don't come to life without a fight. So I'd love to know what's the fight you had to win within yourself to keep walking forward?
I think just I think it's been a it's still I mean it's an ongoing fight, just a self-belief thing. I think there was a lot of self-sabotage in the last 10 years, a lot of not thinking I was good enough, and ultimately that then affecting opportunities that I had because I would self-destruct. I would go out all night, and stay up for 2 days before I'm one of the biggest TV performances of my life. Do you know what I mean? Or like just stupid stuff that like was clearly self-destruction, but it was almost like because I didn't think I was worthy or something. So getting through those moments, I think was a big thing for me. And just sort of coming to terms with the fact that not everybody is going to like you, and sort of I guess growing up, you know what I mean? Like I feel like the last 10 years I've had to get over things and become a man and just stop you know
Love
doing some of the
that.
things I'm doing.
Yeah. You mentioned also in the song coming a long way from home, and home can mean so many different meanings, especially when you're chasing dreams and you're facing storms. So I'd love to know, what did home mean to you when you first started out, and what does it mean to you now?
When I first started out, I mean, I did travel a lot. I feel like I've been traveling my whole entire life. Obviously, coming from Australia, we've got to go outside to sort of really make it happen in a big way. So, I lived in Sweden, I lived in Germany, I lived in London, I lived in the US. I was constantly on a plane leaving home to make this dream a reality. So, in the song, it's really quite literally, I've come a long way from home. And now I am back home more often. And I'm still away from home. Now I'm away from my kids touring, and I'm away from, my family, uh, which is also hard. And, so I'm now away from home in that sense. So it's just sort of a metaphor for, the fact that what we do takes us on the road, and it's not for everyone.
You've toured with some of the biggest acts in the world, Ed Sheeran, Maroon 5, and The Script, all great artists in their own right. But I'd love to know, do all great musicians share any commonality? Is there a through line that connects great artists like yourself?
I don't know. I think probably. I feel like there's got to be a confidence in an artist that, you know, I think all great artists have this confidence. They also have an insecurity about them, which I think makes them great on stage. Um, but I think it's I can't really put my finger on it. I don't know what it is. I guess some people call it the X factor, some people call it whatever. But you realize, when somebody walks into a room and they light that room up, whether they're singing or not, I think that's the common thread. Some people just have something about them that people are drawn to, and they know what to say, not what to say in certain circumstances. They're leaders, in their own way, and I think that's sort of the common thread, I would say, for great frontmen anyway.
Sure. Is there a favorite piece of advice you've received from any artists you've worked with over the years?
It wasn't from an artist; it was from uh, an industry like mogul, pretty much, and it was just be nice to the support act because you're often and I've definitely been the support act more times than I've been the headline. But there's been a time there's one occasion where I wasn't treated so nicely, and he just said, just remember how this feels because one day someone's going to be opening up for you, and you know make sure you write them a letter, invite welcome them to the tour, buy them a six pack of beer, and say, here's my number, call me if there's any problems. And I thought that was a nice piece of advice and something I've taken with me, and I try and make my support acts feel like they're part of the family whenever they're on the road with me because it hasn't always been that case for me.
I love that. Firestone, it's celebrating its 10th anniversary. It marked a defining moment in your career. And I'm wondering when you do look back and you listen to the early recordings, what hits you differently now than it did when you first made them? Like, can you go back and listen to your older stuff without going, oh, that was, I don't know about that song anymore because I was in this headspace at the time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always your voice is always changing as well, but I think I mean, I don't have like a lot of demos that I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Uh, Maybe because I only keep the good ones. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely songs that I go back and listen to, and it's just like, you know, uh, you can tell that I hadn't really flourished as a songwriter yet, and I was still lyrically a bit green. It was probably more back when I was in my band, and I just wasn't quite up to scratch as a songwriter yet. I was still just, it was very raw. Everything I wrote just sounded like it was trying to be Kings of Leon or the Strokes. Do you know what I mean? We were just imitating people
Right.
instead of actually finding a way of writing that felt unique to me, or talking about things that I lived through. I feel like now I very much write what I know. Before I used to be able to write you a song about a doorknob if you asked me. Do you know what I mean? And I could just make up some bullshit.
Yeah. Where do you sit with Firestone 10 years later? Is it still a favorite?
It's a love and hate relationship, to be honest. It's a beautiful thing, and it's changed my life. It's financially, everything that came with that song was amazing. Um, but it was a long journey with that song. It was a lot of me traveling the world trying to support that song, and you know, in hopes that that would connect my music and my career as well. And that didn't quite happen. So, it got to the point where I was still singing that song, giving it my all. And, I'd get off stage and people would I could walk past, 100 people and they wouldn't even know who I was. And I realized that maybe being the feature on a DJ track wasn't the way to the glory I was searching for. So
Right.
it's, yeah, but ultimately, it's an amazing song. You can't ever be mad at writing a song like that or being a part of a song like that because it's a life changer. So I'm very grateful still, and I still get to do cool shit with that song all the time. It was only last week I was in New York singing it for a friend's 50th, and it's played such an important role in so many people's lives. I think so. I'm very, very grateful that I wrote it, and that it's part of my story.
Yeah. Still holds up, still connects with people till this day.
Yeah, for sure.
Many fans would reach out to you, I'm sure, about your music and how it saved them or maybe helped them through dark times. And I'd love to know what's the most music has ever saved you, either in your work life, your personal life? What's the biggest impact a song has ever had on you?
I think you just have moments of appreciation. I think it's hard when you make music and music is your life. Sometimes you forget that you're a fan of music as well. You just you're so used to just creating it every day or promoting it every day or singing, like performing it, that every now and then you'll have a moment where you're on a plane or you're driving and your favorite song comes on and you'll have this appreciation moment where you're like, oh my gosh, like music means so much to me in the way that it does to fans and to other people. And I think you get that less when you're actually doing it. And I get that a couple times a year where I'm just reminded, whether it be when my favorite song comes on, or I'm having a moment where I'm down and a song that makes me smile comes on, and I have that appreciation moment for music. Yeah, that's rarer these days for me, but I when I get it, it's like, oh, that this is why I started doing it in the first place.
This is why I make music.
Yeah.
100%. Mr. Saul, it's genuinely been an absolute honor to talk to you, sir. I'm so happy to see you thriving and releasing new music. Thank you so much for taking the time. Really means a lot.
Appreciate it, dude. Thanks for the
Have
nice question.